What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition. Welcome back to Pounce Talk, ladies and gentlemen, the show where we sit down with real, authentic individuals and that have taken intentionality in aligning themselves with purpose. This is Pounce Talk, and I'm your host, Pounce, ladies and gentlemen. Today hits a little different because I don't have guests on with me today. I got my babies on with me today, ladies and gentlemen. Two out of the three of my children are with me today, some of the most important individuals in my life. This is the Father's Day edition of Pounce Talk, ladies and gentlemen. So I've asked my children to join me on this episode to talk about the journey of fatherhood and what their experience fathering has been with me as their dad, as their pops. And so I have the illustrious privilege of having my oldest and my youngest. Shout out to my middle child, my oldest son, he who is not present today due to technical difficulties, but we greatly appreciate him and want to acknowledge his presence and acknowledge him. We miss him, we love him, and hope to get him on a show here soon. So we love you, Peyton. But I have my oldest and my youngest here. My oldest daughter, Paige, aka Mook, and then I have my son, my youngest son, Princeton. My recent graduate from high school, also known as P or Prince, ladies and gentlemen. So again, this is the Father's Day edition of Pounce Talk. So I want you all, to all my listening audience, to welcome some of the most beautiful vessels that has walked the earth. My son and my daughter, Paige. How y'all feeling today, y'all?
Great. Glad to
Feeling
be
great.
here.
Feeling great. How you feeling, P?
I'm good. What about yourself?
I appreciate it. Appreciate that. I feel great, man. Hey, man, I feel rather special to be doing this with you all. And it's just a phenomenal feeling. So thank you for asking. But I feel absolutely spectacular. So again, this is the Father's Day edition of this episode of Pounce Talk. So we're gonna get right into it. Okay, we're gonna talk about the journey of fatherhood, and we're gonna talk about the good, the real, all of the above, ladies and gentlemen. So I've already instructed my children to keep it 100. They already know to do that anyway. But we just want to get into it. Just gonna have a real candid, honest, transparent, laid back conversation centered around fatherhood and what their experiences has been with me being their dad. So the very first question that I want to pose to you all, okay? Don't think about it too long or too strong. All right, it's not an SAT question. Just rapid thinking. All right. So, in 3 words, I want you to describe me as a father and why you describe one. And you can decide if you want to explain all three of the words or just one of the words. But I want you to describe me as a father in 3 words and then explain why. So we'll start with you, Paige. We'll start with you, Mook.
Okay. 3 words.
Three.
I'll go with sitcom or comedy sketch, which I guess is,
More than 3 words.
yeah. Well, I'm saying like slash, but comedy sketch is 2 words. Whatever. Okay, so we'll do sitcom.
Okay.
Sitcom, supportive, and professor.
Okay. All right. So I want to dive into the sitcom word. You use the word sitcom to
Hmm.
describe me as a father, and you also utilized comedy. So comedy sitcom. Okay. Can you bring some
Hmm.
explanation to that?
So looking back on like growing up through my preteen, like teenage years, and then like even my early adult life.
Hmm.
And Princeton can probably attest to this. Like there just have been like some like if we had a camera type moments as we were being parented, I think we could have made some money. You know, just like looking back, it's been some funny stuff that has
Okay.
happened. Or like funny things that you said. Like in the moment, it may not have been funny to us or like the person that was getting in trouble or whatever. But like if we heard it, we would be like, "Did Dad just say that?" Like, you know. So
What?
sitcom. it's some comedy in there, but it's also, life lessons. That's where the professor comes in, like, the lecturing, the talking, you know.
Okay. 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 I can respect that and I can receive that in love. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. I'm gonna pass the ball over to your brother Pre. 3 words, man. 3 words to describe me as a dad.
I'll say supportive, reliable, and wise.
Wise. Okay. Would you like to elaborate on any of those words in particular?
I'll say wise. I'll elaborate on wise because I just feel like you give good morale advice. Um, I feel like you'll be a good therapist.
Okay. I respect that. Thank you. Anything else you want to add to it?
No.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So for my listening audience, again, um, the two special individuals that I'm talking to today are two out of the three children I have. So I have three total. And Mook, I want you to bring some context to this. So my oldest, who is my daughter, Paige. So I met Paige when she was actually about 10 years old. I started to develop a relationship with her mother at the time, and she was 10 years old at the time. And then when I decided to court her mother, and then eventually ended up proposing and getting married to her mother, over the course of time and during that process, we developed our own relationship. And so we are a blended family. And I would say that the dynamics of our father and daughter relationship has been phenomenal. It has been super fluid, super organic. But I want to hear what your experience is, because a lot of times when I tell people, I'm telling you, when I tell people, or if I'm asked, how many children do you have? And I say three, and then they say, what are their ages? And then I'm like, okay, the math don't be math for a lot of people. But share with the people about our dynamics from your perspective and your experience of how we came to be about I believe, one of the most dynamic father-daughter dynamics that has seen this earth.
Dang, no pressure to nobody else, huh?
Hey, I'm representing. I'm keeping it 1,000.
Yeah, I definitely hate explaining ages. Like, I just
Yeah,
like, don't ask me how old my parents are. Just
right.
don't do it. Because I hate that like blank stare of like, or so he was having kids when he was 8. Like,
Yeah,
shut up. Nobody's
yeah.
doing that.
We've heard it all. We've heard it all. Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, somebody would be in jail. No. Um, anyway, so yes, we when I was 10, you were a Mr. Montez. Did I call you Mr. Montez or Brother Montez? That is the
I think there
question.
was a combination of both. It was,
That's hilarious. That's
there was the
hilarious.
church vernacular, and then there was the substitute teacher title, I would say.
Amazing. So yeah, we met when I was 10, and then you and mom started y'all friendship into courtship when I was like 11.
Hmm.
And then I think y'all got married when I was 12, going on 13 ish, something like that. Or
Hmm.
no, yeah, y'all got married when I was 12, and then yeah, turned 13 not too far
Hmm.
after that. Um, but yeah, like you said, it was just kind of an organic situation. I felt like, mom having two children wasn't like a burden to you. You got to know it. Well, first of all, Peyton was only one, so
Yeah, Peyton was a
he
newborn.
didn't know nothing. So you stepped up and you was one of his favorite people as a baby,
Yeah.
putting him to sleep, being able to calm him down and all of that. And then I mean, with our biological father not being in the picture, or off and on at that time, you just stepped right in, and it just was like a seamless transition, and it just felt right to, like, as you and mom progressed your relationship from friends to more than friends, especially when y'all thought I wasn't looking in the back seat when y'all was kissing, but whatever.
Oh my God.
Princeton, did I ever tell you about that?
This is not the podcast episode for
Princeton, they
that.
was in the front seat kissing when I thought I was asleep in the back. But anyway, yeah. So as y'all progressed, we got closer, and it wasn't like you was trying too hard. It's just, you was just interested in what I had going on in my little life, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I appreciate that and all the extraness, Moog. I really do. So again, we are a blended family, and and I never adopted the title as step, stepfather, stepdad, and I'm of course from a societal standpoint and from a label standpoint, I would definitely be considered technically, your stepfather, and you would be considered my stepdaughter, but um, our dynamic was never labeled that. It never gave that. If we didn't explain things to people that inquired or whatnot, people rarely knew that we weren't a blended family. And I'm grateful to God that that dynamic existed with between us, per se, between you and I, and even with Peyton, because it was very important for me to not just my intention was not to replace anyone. My intention was not to, show off or show out on anyone's behalf, or prove anything to anyone, but just to simply be myself. And I know what it is um, to show up for a child, and I know what it is to be there and to be present. And so if anything, I'm the man that stepped up. I'm not a stepfather, so to speak, but I declare and just really take on the identity of the one that stepped up. And I truly, you made it easy for me, Paige. Absolutely, you were one of the most amazing daughters a father could ever ask for, with me not having any biological children at the time. And so you definitely made it easy for me. And then later on down the road came this young whippersnapper who's 17 right now, and he's becoming a man right before our eyes. Just recently graduated, and I'm so proud of him. Princeton, man, when you think back at some of the earliest times and earliest memories of experiencing fatherhood from me, what are some of the most immediate memories that come to your mind?
I say sports for sure. Sports. What else? Sports, school. Uh, hmm.
Now, when you say sports in school, do you mean as far as like your participation in it, or my participation? What are you saying? What are you pinpointing
When
there?
I'm saying sports, I'm saying like how you used to be out there with me and Peyton throwing the baseball or shooting the basketball.
Hmm.
Um, Getting us in trainings, picking us up from practice, and back and forth games. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about to be specific.
Yeah. And then what about school?
Phone calls, man. Phone calls, email. Nothing too bad, but
Yeah.
comes with it.
So, do you feel like in those moments, did you still know that if I ever had to bring correction, or if I ever had to give a lecture, according to your sister, if I ever had to give you a talk or whatnot, that it just came from a place of love and care?
Not 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 that young. Not that
Okay.
young.
Okay.
But once I hit like middle school, freshman year, I understood. It was for the greater good.
True.
So
True. I appreciate that. If I'm being honest, I've always wanted to, I can recall being 12 and 13 years old, just visualizing and dreaming in my own room, me having my own family and being a father to my own children and whatnot. And it was definitely something that I aspired to be. And as well as a husband, even at that young age, I just knew that I wanted to be a husband and I wanted to be a father. And then to take it a step further, I knew if I had a daughter, I wanted to be to her. I kind of wanted to create this image in her mind of being her knight in shining armor, her protector, an example of how a man should treat a woman and so forth. And then for my sons, I've always envisioned myself being that first hero for you all. And so I want to ask you all a question: do you believe that I have um held up to that image? Do you think I've held up to that standard, or what do you all think about that?
Princeton, why you looking at me to go
I just
first?
wanted to know if you wanted to go first in that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Y'all can actually keep your mics unmuted too. It doesn't really matter.
I, I'm just hot. I got a
Oh,
fan
okay.
on.
I got you. I got you. Go ahead.
I'll say yes. I think you have fulfilled that imagery for sure. For example, for me, I played basketball when I was younger. Um, and we had this one practice. It was parents versus players, and my dad was going crazy. He was cooking, and as a kid, you know, little stuff like that excites other kids. And for my dad to be going that crazy on the court, I got praised for it. So
Hmm.
it made me look at you more like, oh yeah, he cool. It's not just my dad. This is like, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
what's the
I
word?
appreciate that.
It's a role model. There we go.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that means a lot to me. That means a lot to me because before I became a parent, I was a youth mentor. I was a counselor. I worked with youth, and so I've always wanted to pride myself, with the help of God, to being an example among young people. And so to hear that from you, it means a lot to me. What about you, Mook?
For me, it's not so much like knight in shining armor,
Hmm.
but fulfilling those like girlhood fantasies, if you will. Just
I got
like
you.
um another, so I have a couple memories, but one that just popped into my head when Princeton was talking was how I also played sports when I was younger, and I was thinking about joining the softball team.
Yeah.
And I remember I had never really tossed a softball. I had tossed a baseball before, but I never tossed a softball. You know, they're bigger and harder than
Oh wow, I remember
baseballs.
this true story. Yeah, go
And
ahead.
so we were in
Wow.
the front yard getting me prepared basically to see if I would like it. And I mean, we was tossing. Like you was telling me to toss as hard as I could and trying to teach me how to do like a proper softball pitch, with the arm winding and everything. And I think we didn't have two mitts, and you threw the ball to me and I caught it and it popped the blood vessel in my finger. And you freaked out and ran the house and got a like a bag of peas or something. And practice was immediately over.
She had
But I
fragile hands,
but
fragile
it wasn't even
palms.
like I didn't cry or nothing, but it was just
No,
cute.
no.
Like you was more concerned than I was. I wanted to keep going. And you was
Yeah.
like, no, we're done. Like you need to ice your hand. And we actually have a picture of that
No, we definitely do. True
sitting in
story.
front of the house in Price Hill. Me, you, and Peyton, because Peyton was just out. Peyton was outside waddling like a little
Yes.
penguin. He couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, it was a juicy baby at the time. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes, yes.
but
I
that was
remember
so
that.
funny, and it was just like tossing the ball in the front yard with your dad. Like that's a really cool memory.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is an awesome memory, man. And it really is heartfelt for me because I don't have a lot of memories of like those with my own father. And so
Mhm.
to be able be to create those moments and memories with you all, and I mean Peyton included, is just I'm grateful. I'm totally, totally grateful for that. Which leads me to my next question for you all, and it doesn't matter who answers first, but how important and how valuable is it to have a relationship with a father, and what kind of impact does that leave on you as a young adult? And I consider both of you will always be my babies, but I respect you all as you grow up and come into manhood and womanhood and adulthood. But how impactful is it to have a father present, active, invested in you all, from the time that from newborn to adolescence to young adult life, et cetera, et cetera. How impactful it is for to have a father figure present and active.
So I can go first because I know. I mean, I think it's kind of different for
Yeah,
girls and guys.
yeah,
So for me, I can say that like growing up. Like, you know how you would hear, like, you know, if nobody's telling you at home how beautiful you are and how much you're loved, you spread your legs for any little boy or whatever. And I used to be like, every girl's not doing that. But then I went to high school and I was like,
Talk about
okay,
it. Talk
they
about
are
it.
doing that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, then some girls was just doing it because, whatever. But it
Hmm.
really is true. Like, when you don't have that, like, that father figure or a father in the house, really affirming who you are and showing you that you're loved and being there for you, like, you could fall into any trap of somebody, filling that void temporarily, for
Hmm.
however long it is. And so it can be a dangerous game when you in high school if you don't know who you are and you don't have nobody affirming you at home. So, when the guy does come up and try to tell you all this slick stuff, you already like, I know. Like,
Yeah.
tell me something else. Cause that's not gonna get it.
Yeah.
And then also for me, being alone with mom for 11 years, there was never a man in the house with us.
Hmm.
So it was very impactful just to see like how men move up close and personal, like that are taking care of a family, that are married, y'all making decisions together, us having family meetings, you leading the family meetings. When we got in trouble, y'all coming in together to talk, and we discussed this punishment and blah 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 blah. And it's like, Mom, can you just whoop me and get it over with? Like, why we gotta talk and try to, like, so
Hmm.
it definitely is impactful and important. And then, as you get older, you start to remember, your parents' voice and your voice. Like, I think we can all say that, like me, Peyton, and Princeton. I'm sure we've heard your voice in our head multiple times,
Wow.
making decisions. And you know how they say, like, the Holy Spirit is, I think, when you're younger and you're not really tapped into the Holy Spirit, it's your parents' voice.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, that's my spiel on it.
So go ahead, Prince.
Um, can you re-ask the question?
No, so I'll actually ask you another question. So the original question I asked was how important is it to have a father to be present and active in your life?
Okay. Sorry. It's very important, especially in today's age. Um, it's just a lot of hate in the world, and I feel like with I'm not gonna say it's mandatory or necessary, but it's very costly of not having a father at home,
Mm,
especially a father instead of a dad or an involved dad. I think
hmm.
a father is is crucial in today's age.
Hmm.
Um, because with you specifically, you didn't just implement you didn't just implement good character. You invested in us. You bet on us. You trusted us. It's I don't have the correct word for it, but it's a beautiful thing, and I believe that everybody's is deserving of it, and
Wow.
it really is a privilege to have a father figure at home, or just a father figure, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have a father at home. That's how I see it.
I think you had the right words, man. I think you had the perfect words. So I really appreciate both of you all's contribution to that, and to anybody that is listening to me right now that may not have a present father in their lives or whatnot. God is the father and a father to the fatherless, and for me, and I can speak for myself. I didn't have the best active relationship with my father due to his own struggles and challenges, but God always provided a ram in the bush for me in the person of a coach, a teacher, a pastor, a mentor, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, he has been my father figure throughout the course of my 40 years of life. And so I just want to encourage you, and I just want you to know that you're not less than the person that may have an active father that's in their lives right now. And if you are looking for an example or a role model or someone that you can look up to, I dare you to give God a chance to send someone into your life, whether it be an uncle or, like I said, a mentor or a teacher or a coach or some male figure that is positive and that will be willing to impart into you and instill into you the development and the character that is needed for you as a woman, as a young lady, and as a young man, whoever is listening to me. So I greatly appreciate that. And I also want to shout out my kids, my children, for your transparency. I did not tell them to just get on here and talk about how great of a dad that I am. I had my struggles. I definitely had my challenges, and I will say this to you both, and I've shared this with Peyton as well. You know, you guys made me better. You guys made me not only better as a father, but made me better as a human being. And so I became a husband and a father at the young, ripe age of 21, all at the same time. You know, as soon as the wedding ceremony was over, I was both husband and father. And so I didn't know everything. All I had was faith, grace, and a willing spirit to love you all as best as I could and with as much as unconditional love that I could. And so I just want to thank you all for your contribution and investment in me and trusting me enough to allow me to make an investment in you all and to leave my imprint on you all's lives as well. One last question before we wrap things up. Give me one piece of advice moving forward as your dad. One piece of advice, and let's kind of keep our responses under a minute or so.
But okay. Um, my advice to you, Dad, is to trust yourself more. Trust yourself more,
Mm,
and trust your teaching. Trust your teaching. Um,
yes, sir.
I'm only saying that just really believe. I want you to believe what you put into us.
Hmm.
That's my answer.
Yeah, I received that. Thank you, son. Go ahead, Moot. I received that.
My advice would be to live, continue to live, continue to dream, um, and dream bigger. You know, once you accomplish and reach a dream, dream bigger than that. Because I think, you know, even though we are adults and growing, it's still very important for us to see our parents still been able to dream, reach those dreams, set goals, new heights, all things like that, because we're growing in the direction that you guys are now. So, yeah, just keep living.
Aren't they great, y'all? I mean, I'm blessed. I mean, the advice, the wisdom. I hear myself in you all. I hear your mother in you all. And so I take all of that wisdom from you all and all of that advice that you just shared with me. And I definitely will continue to dream bigger, live, trust my teaching, and trust the investment, and just to trust myself more as I lead my life. I really appreciate you all taking the time out to be a part of this on this Father's Day edition of Pounce Talk. I want to establish and really congratulate and celebrate all of the fathers within my listening audience, whether you be a biological father, a stepfather, an adoptive father, or even, as my son mentioned, just a simple a mentor or role model to a young woman or a young man that may be absent of a father's presence in their life. I want you to know that you are the true MVP today, and I want you to enjoy your Father's Day. I want you to enjoy your loved ones. I want you to make this day about yourself and even days beyond. I don't think it's a coincidence that Father's Day falls in the month of June, which is also men's mental health month. And so please make sure that you're taking care of your mental health. If you need some assistance, if you need any professional help, please get connected to some awesome counselors, therapists, or whatnot. You know, make sure that you're implementing some self-care because you deserve that, King. I want to thank my two beautiful children that are present with me right now, my beautiful daughter, my handsome son. You all are royalty in my eyes. Thank you so much for what you mean to me and what you brought to my life and allowing me to bring substance to your life as well. This has been a phenomenal episode of Pounce Talk. I want to encourage everybody that is listening to me to Go after what it is that God has put in you to go after. Please align yourself with purpose. You know, the thing about pouncing, ladies and gentlemen, is not so much about the pursuit, but if you are in the right position, if you are in correct alignment, you don't have to chase what already belongs to you. You're in perfect position to pounce on it. So, as I say often here, I want you to pounce daily, win more. And until we meet again, checking out.